Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been a really long time as usual, guys. You guys know how it goes. I upload a season and then I take a really long time and then I'll probably upload another season or so. So this is going to be SBT Season 9, my Challengers run. So basically, real quick, what happened was at the start of this season, Mams, who's actually one of the owners or co-owners, I'm not sure, or admins maybe, he asked me if I wanted to play in the Conqueror division, which is the top division. There's actually 5 divisions for this. It's Conquerors, Victors, Guardians, Challengers, and Rivals. He actually asked me to be in the top division. I've never played in SBT before, but I told him that I was kind of just gonna take it back. I was playing in a couple of tours at the time and not in any leagues, and I was gonna just kind of take a break and lay low. But then I found myself kind of just like not having much to do at the time, so like a week later when the season started, I told him like, hey, I could replace basically the first team that like drops, because I should have just played when he asked me to, and I would have been in Concord, but it's okay. So I said I'll just replace the first team, and unfortunately what happened was the first team to drop was in Challengers, which, like I said, it's the 4th out of the 5th like best. And a lot of people, like right when I joined, they said that like I didn't belong, and I did tell TCK, the owner, that like I haven't been playing that much, and the last thing I played in was, I think, PWS, and I didn't do really well in that. I went like 1-4 or something. So I was like, maybe I'm kind of losing my touch a little bit, so maybe it's not the worst if I take over a challenger team. I do still think at the time that I was better than a lot of the people there. But like I said, it was a first drop, and I just wanted to take over a team, so I ended up playing in Challengers. And the 2 teams you guys see on the screen is the team on the left is what I got when I took over the team. It was 0-1 -3 because I forfeited the first week, and it's I think it's an 8-week regular season. So I took over the team on the left, and then I made all the transactions, and I ended up with the team on the right. Now, the main thing I wanted to, when I looked at what was available, the main thing I wanted to grab was Toxicity, because I never actually tried the Pokemon before, and I just really wanted to try it because I think it's very underrated. So I picked it up, and then I dropped. The big thing was I dropped Mega Gallade for Mega Lopunny just because I thought it worked better with Toxicity because of the momentum, and it's really fast. It's still kind of a weird team to me though, because you really have those 2 offensive like Pokemon that can get momentum, and then everything else is really fat usually. But I like fat Pokemon. I usually have more bulkier teams than not, so I was very comfortable with this, especially because I had Suicune, which Suicune is my favorite Pokemon. I've used it a ton. I probably used Suicune just the same, maybe a little bit less than Zeraora and Null, which are probably my 2 most used mons. I used to use those a lot in Gen 7. But I've used Ferrothorn, Clefable a bunch, even Gliscor. So I was very comfortable with this team. I don't think necessarily the team on the left is like terrible or bad. I just, again, wanted to try Toxicity, and I figured that Mega Lopunny was great, and then Reineclipse was also good with it because, like I said, those 2 get momentum along with Gliscor and Incineroar, and Reineclipse is another like hard hitter too. So, and it has a lot of good status absorbers. The Gliscor and the Reineclipse are really good status absorbers. So what I'm basically going to do is so I only played 7 regular season games because, like I said, the team was 0-1 at the time. Now, unfortunately, there are 2 games missing from the regular season. One of them, I have the replay, but it's a playoff rematch versus King Swampy, and we brought the same 6 Pokemon in the playoffs as we did in the regular season, and the sets were very similar too, so I'm not going to bother showing the regular season game. I will say we did win that one, and then the other one that's missing is actually versus J-Caps, where it sucks I don't have the replay. It is the game I lost. I probably made like the biggest like choke, or one of the biggest chokes I ever made. He actually said GG like before the game even ended because he thought I had the game because I was so far ahead. Basically, what happened was I had Mega Lopunny and a Specs Toxicity, and he had a Slowbro, a Mega Slowbro, and a Licky Licky as his 2 like switch-ins to those guys. But I would keep U-turning versus Slowbro with Mega Lopunny bringing in Toxicity, then Volt switching as he brings in Licky Licky, right? So over and over, and eventually Licky Licky couldn't switch into Toxicity anymore, and I killed it. So Toxicity basically won the game. But I don't know what happened. Either I attacked something and I thought it would die and it didn't, or I was just like slower than something, and I sacked off the Toxicity for no reason whatsoever, and then I couldn't kill the Slowbro. He was like a Calm Mind Slowbro or a like an Iron Defense Slowbro, and I literally could not kill it. All I had to do was save Toxicity, and I won the game. And then I just couldn't. So Slowbro plus like Superior just beat me there. So those 2 games I don't have. He didn't get the replay. Usually the winners get the replay. So once I lost the game, I just like left, and then I come back like an hour later, and he didn't get the replay. So it's whatever. That's basically what happened though. It was a really bad game. I wish I had the replay, but so we're gonna go into week 2. I'm gonna basically show you guys the pace just really quickly, and then I'll show you guys the replay. So this is versus Guava. We have a pretty SBT Gliscor, and you guys are gonna see. Actually, let me go back to the team. So my teams didn't really change much. I actually ended up bringing Mega Lopunny, Suicune, and Clefable to every single game I played, and then I brought Gliscor and Toxicity to every single game plus like -1, so they were there every game except 1. And then basically the 6 mon that interchange was like Reuniclus, Ferrothorn, or rarely Incineroar. Mostly Reuniclus or Ferrothorn, and I never brought Lycanroc. So my teams were very, very similar throughout all the games. And you guys are going to see that. So versus Guava, we have a SBT Gliscor. I believe this was for the Heatran. It could come in versus Heatran, no problem, and just either get Rock Stomp or Earthquake it. A very fast Toxic Protect sub, very stally Suicune. I did really well versus team. We have a Chople Aerial Ace. I believe Ferrothorn. This was for, I believe he had a Mega Heracross. So it was to Aerial Ace him after the CC drop, and it would do a shit ton to it. He didn't end up bringing it. So then we just have a standard U-turn, Fake Out, 2 attacks, Lopunny, SBT Unaware, Boots. This is probably my most brought set. I just always bring Unaware, Boots, Clefable because it's just really solid. Just knock. I really like utility Clef, then sub lefty 3 attacks, Toxicity. So let's go ahead and get this game underway. I'm actually on the wrong side. Bang. So he's going to lead with Big Mammo. I'm going to lead with Suicune. I actually expected the Mammo, I believe, because Suicune was really good versus Mammo and Heatran, and I figured that he might lead Mammo expecting my Gliscor. So I led Suicune. And so I'm going to go ahead and get the Toxic Protect sub going right away as he goes Coco. As I land the Toxic, and then I Protect. And then I'm going to go hard Gliscor because really, even if he U-turns, Coco can't do anything to Gliscor, to be honest. And I get my Toxic Poison off. So I get that played right. He switches as I do just get up the Stealth Rock, no problem. And then I Toxic this thing because even though I'm a Gliscor and I can't really do much to it, he can't really do much to me either. So I figured I'm safe just to stay in here. I have him Toxic. And then he actually shows Worry Seed, which this is a really good bring. The only thing that he should have done was try to wait a couple of turns because I was fine just staying in here over and over with Toxic and Earthquaking him because he couldn't really do much to me. And if he would have waited a couple of turns, the Toxic, even though like I don't take damage from Toxic because of Poison Heal, it still stacks up. So if he waits a couple of turns and then Worry Seeds, I would take like, you know, if you waited like 4 turns, I would take like half my health or, you know, whatever. But because he does it pretty early, I just switch out and I go into Ferrothorn. Now he has a Shadot. I actually didn't expect this to come. And ended up being Choice Specs, which is actually pretty scary because if he clicks the right move, either Heat Wave versus this thing or Boom Burst versus anything else, he kills something or 2 shots very easily. So, and he's fast. So I go into Gliscor. I'm in SBT, and he actually just clicks U-turn, which again, I don't really understand that because you bring in Shadot, you bring a Spec Shadot just to kill things. And because Rocks are already up, he's taking 25% anyway, so just getting this little momentum doesn't really help him too much. But I'll take that fine. Now I have a pretty defensive Suicune, so, and you guys saw I was really fast. So I'm actually faster than a max speed Mamoswine on Suicune here. He gets up Rocks, which is a good play as he goes into Tangrowth. This is fine, but because I'm Skull, Toxic Protect, sub, I can just stay in here all day and stall him out until the Toxic wears this thing down. So you guys are going to see me do just that, and because I'm also pressure, he's going to run out of Giga Drains pretty quickly. He's only got 8 of them, right? So he has to switch out here as I think I go for the Scald or the sub. I get a sub, yep. Yeah, so this is good. Again, this thing is also Toxic, so Toxic is just wearing him down. He roosts as I call that play, and I just Scald, and then I can easily just either Protect, or I can just Scald again if I want to, because I'm behind a sub, so I'm fine. Actually, he turns and doesn't break the substitute, and yeah, he just goes into Tangrowth, and he can't do much. Again, I'm lefties too, so I'm just getting recovery every time he's you know, not hitting me pretty much. And I think this is where he realizes this is gonna be very tough for him to break this. And I could just keep freely subbing. That's pretty much what Suicune does, man. It's a very annoying Pokemon to take down. I've used it a ton. For the most part, I do bring like a Rest Talk set, but this set was just really solid versus team. Plus, he had electric terrain, so I can't rest in that anyways. So that's kind of annoying. Finally, Tangrowth does go down, and I'm not behind a substitute, so I do have to switch. But like I said before, Gliscor pretty much comes in no problem, right, versus Go-Go. Roost, which is fine, but I'm pretty much back up to full, and U-turns out. I forget what I click here. I probably click Earthquake or Toxic. Actually, Earthquake, yeah, no problem. He goes into Clawitzer, which usually is like a spec set or like a Life Orb. It's very strong, but it's very slow. But judging by that damage, he's not either, because I'm Spadef Clef, but like a Specs Mega Launcher Clawitzer should be doing more than 30 to Clefable, so I'm not really sure what item he was. Now we go into Gliscor as he gets in the Heatran versus Clef, so I have to go into Gliscor, and he clicks Magma Storm, so it does a lot. But I just stay in because if he's faster, then I just die anyway, and it's fine. I'm trapped. But because he has like no speed or not much speed on this thing, I'm faster, so I can just keep spamming Roost. He'll either miss eventually or he'll switch, and then or I can just like kill him because again I'm fast for the Earthquake. Now he goes into Shadow. I expect the Heat Wave, so I just stay in here and Toxic it. So this thing is pretty much neutralized. If he clicked Boom Burst there, I actually died. I'm pretty sure. That's how scary that thing actually is. Then he makes the switch into Coco, which I don't really understand because this is my answer to Coco. And then pretty much at this point, the game is over. Like he's got to go into Shadow, and he has one more attack left. Because he showed Heat Wave, I just go into Ferrothorn. And I sag it if he does click Heat Wave because I don't mind it anyway. I don't need it. But he just clicked Boom Burst. So I actually live. And he saves it as sack fodder, I suppose. I just get up a spike because I figured he was in dire Toxic anyway, right? And then because I saw that I was faster than Heatran, this thing is also a switch into Heatran every time. So this thing pretty much beats Heatran and Coco on it by itself, and then Suicune comes in versus Mamo. No problem. Obviously Lopunny is faster and everything, so even if I just have to sack something, Lopunny will just come in and win the game anyway. He's on Ice Cold Crash. Do pretty much nothing. I just protect to get more leftovers. I probably didn't have to though. And then like I said, I think I'm actually okay, I'm not faster. Okay, so it might have been actually Scarf. I think he was Scarf Mamo. So Earthquake didn't do much. Scald kills him, and then yeah, I have Gliscor just to beat the remaining 3 Pokemon. So this game was pretty straightforward. The Shatot Specs was a good bring. Like I didn't expect that, and like I said, it did kill stuff. If he clicked right, unfortunately he just clicked Boom Burst on my Ferrothorn and Heat Wave on my Gliscor, right? It's just unlucky plays. Like he can't really do much about it. It's a 50-50 pretty much, right? So that's gonna be the game. So you win 6-0 versus, well, let's go to week 2 right away here. It's gonna be a lot of battles, so I'm gonna try and go very quickly. We're up against Tyler B. So we're bringing a Spadef Ferrothorn. This is Spikes. I plan to get up a lot of Spikes versus team because it's really good. Fizdef, Sleep Talk, Suicune. My Spadef Reuniclus with Calm Mind is my answer to his Raikou and his Nidoqueen, so it's very pressured in this game. But I do think it's a solid switch into both of those guys. I have Toxic on the Lopunny here because I believe he has... What does he have? He has a Deoxys, so I thought it was going to be like a defensive helmet Deoxys speed, just to come in versus me every time, so I figured I would just Toxic that on the switch. And then we have Speedy Gliscor with some defense, again, Toxic Roost, Rocks and Earthquake, I believe it's the same set actually. And then also very similar Clefable, I think it's actually the same Clefable moves and set as well, so very similar team. And here we go, we're up against Tyler. I gotta switch sides it again. The one set that really screwed me here was a Taunt Spikes kind of Deoxys, which I figured that's what he would bring. And sure enough, he does have the Taunt. So he taunts my Ferrothorn as I come in, so I have to attack here. And I just go knockoff, so he makes a really good switch into this, expecting the knockoff, I assume. Now, Suicune is pretty much my Mawile sack in this game. It's max defense helmet, so its job is to pretty much get 3 rounds of helmet on Mawile. That's about it. And I just rest up right away because if he stayed in, he might have been faster. and I would just get more chip on him. I actually chooses to flip turn here, which is interesting when he saw my helmet, but that's okay. He goes Raikou as I go, like I said, into my switch, which is Reuniclus. And then I just throw off a Raw Thunder, actually expecting him to switch. Fortunately, I missed, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Vaporeon can't really do much to Reuniclus. So again, I just throw off another Thunder as he actually goes into Deoxys, and I do get the Paralysis, which is actually really, really big because this thing was obviously super fast. He was Leftovers, not Helmet, so it wasn't terrible. But it is the annoying set that Taunt Spikes recover, and then probably one attacking move that I didn't want to see. So I get up a Spike as he tries to recover, and then I knock off on his Taunt, which is really solid. Now he gets up another Spike, so it's a little bit scary. Starball does 41, but I'm just going to keep spamming it because eventually he will get fully paralyzed. Alexios just chooses to just spike up there as a Leechy, which is probably a misplay. I should have just killed him, but it's not a big deal because I think he does get paralyzed. Yeah, so it would have been the same result anyway. So he gets up 3 spikes, so it's actually pretty good for him, I'm not going to lie. Now he goes into Mawile, and he saw my switch in was the Suicune, so he makes a great double and goes into Raikou. But like I said, it's no problem because Reuniclus has Magikarp, and that's always my switch into this guy. And I'm still pretty healthy, so he goes for another Scald. And then I just have to safely keep Reuniclus healthy just so I can handle the Raikou and then Nidoqueen. Now he does get paralyzed, so a full para could be very, very scary. I do have the Heal Bell on Clefable, so I do want to try and get that off as quickly as possible. And these spikes don't really matter for Clef either because I do have the heavy duty boots. I get off a solid chunk on the Mawile as he does just go for the player off, and he does, I think he kills me. Yeah, he does kill me. So he's really low though, and I don't even know if he can come in on another spike. So I just go Gliscor. If he Sucker Punch, I take it no problem, and I'm faster, so I can just kill it with Earthquake. Now he goes Nidoqueen. So like I said, my answer was Reuniclus. This is really scary though, because one full para and that could be bad. But he was actually Choice Scarfed, so it wasn't the end of the world. I do fortunately not get fully parried, and I do get Reuniclus to full, as I figured this is my opportunity to get the Heal Ball off, so no full paras can screw me over, right? He does go into Nidoqueen on the flip turn, which is very nice by him, but like I said, he is Choice Scarfed, so Reuniclus tanks it no problem. You guys saw it does 39, and I am Calm Mind, so I can recover, I can Calm Mind, I can do whatever I want, and you really can't do much about it. Looking at the Vaporeon set, it was Flip Turn Wish, so I figured this is a pretty easy target to Calm Mind up on, and so I just go for it. He has all special attackers besides Como, which can't really do a ton to me because I'm very bulky Reuniclus. He just Volt Switches and goes into Vaporeon. And then I just finish him off here in case he has some weird set, and he does actually go second there, so he clicked Roar on that turn. And I think he realizes right now in the game that the game is pretty much over, as he only has Earthquake to really hit me, and it doesn't do much. So I do like his nicknames though. All of his nicknames are Ariana Grande songs, so that's what I like to see. But yeah, Mr. Magoo, Calm Mind up, is just gonna win this game here, no problem. Unfortunately, I did lose Bluey, but I did his job and got just a helmet chip on them a while. He forfeits the game here, and the reason why I said GG okay, because he just randomly forfeited, didn't say anything, so I was like, okay. But yeah, so we do win 5-0. Pretty clean game. I do think had Mawile been like paralyzed down and died, it would have been a lot harder, but luckily it didn't, so let me get the heal ball off. Alright, so next game we're up against Mudbud, who is also, he made playoffs as well, I believe. So, great player. We bring a Scarf Toxicity, Power Up Punch Lopunny, kind of a mixed defensive Reuniclus with Toxic, and again Psychic Thunder, just great coverage. Another Rest Talk, Suicune with lefties, mixed defensive investment with the Roar. And then we have U-Turn Max defensive Gliscor, and then a weird Clefable set. We have the Babiri. I'm assuming he's got a Scizor or something because I see Babiri and a Flamethrower. But he didn't bring it, so that's kind of useless. But anyway, let's go into the game. I lead off with Magoo because I'm looking at his team, and Noivern is actually really scary. The two flying resists on my team are Toxicity and Lycanroc, so not very tanky guys, and I kind of overlooked that when I was building this team because my Steel type was Ferrothorn, doesn't resist flying, So a hard-hitting flying type really just destroys my team, and you guys are gonna kind of see here. I kind of struggle a little bit because he brings choice specs Noivern, and so I noticed when I look at his team, like, oh man, I really don't have much for Noivern, so I kind of leave with something that has a decent matchup versus it, which is Reuniclus. So he just U-turns out as I go for a Toxic, which isn't bad. Now this thing could definitely have jungle healing, which heals the status and the HP. And Zarude was kind of a problem. Like, I brought Max, Fizdef, Gliscor for Zarude. So if he's not like Bandit or Life Orb, it takes 2, no problem. And then I could always just slow U-turn out. But if I didn't bring that, and Gliscor like isn't really great into Zarude because it's a grass type and it's really, really strong and it doesn't resist either of its stab. But that was like my best bet, really. Like I said, I love slow U-turn. That's why I used Type Null a lot in Gen 7. It was really good at it, but now everyone's kind of on the slow U-turn train in Gen 8, so... But yeah, that was my plan. So I just U-turn as he brings in Weezing, and I go into Reuniclus because Weezing can't really do anything to Reuniclus. And I make a double into Gliscor, expecting the Zarude to come in, as that's what he did last time. Now that I have my rocks up, I can just U-turn on the Weezing coming in instead of wasting a turn to get up rocks. I take Helmet, but again, it's not a big deal. As I bring in Toxicity, because this thing shows to be physically defensive. Now, it's kind of 50-50 what I click here, either Volt Switch, expecting Cofagrigus, or Boom Burst, expecting the ground type Swampert. I click Boom Burst first as he only takes 29, which is like, okay, that's definitely Assault Vest. Boom Burst rarely does like under 40 to a non-resisted hit, even if I'm Scarf and not Specs. So he has 1,000,000% Assault Vest. I expect a flip turn to come out, which is fine. I just go into Reuniclus because I don't want Noivern to come in for free. That's what I'm trying to prevent here, which is what Reuniclus kind of prevents. He goes into Zarude, and every time he goes into Zarude, it's just a free Gliscor for me. He just bulk up here, so if he does attack me, it'll do a decent chunk. But it only does 50 at +1, so like I said, I'm max defense, so it's not anything crazy. I get the U-turn off, so I do put him in range, even though he's +1 defense of Lopunny. And I do just U-turn again, as he does bring in the Weezing, which is definitely his answer, as he is Helmet, which makes sense. As I bring in Toxicity, I click Volt Switch this time, expecting maybe the Cofagrigus, and he does go into the Cofag, which is good for me. As I go Gliscor, I figured this is my opportunity to heal this guy up, because I need this guy healed for that Zarude. So, he just Pain Splits as he gets a lot of HP back, but that's fine. And I'm just going to U-turn out. And now that I'm pretty much full, I'm good to go versus Zarude as I go into Suicune. And I do have the... I believe I was Roar this game, but I just throw off a Scald because I don't expect him to stay in anyway. No burn, but again, I think he showed jungle healing. Yeah, he did. So it's not a big deal even if I did get the burn, as he does just go for it there to get some health back. But again, I'm just getting momentum every time this happens, and rocks are up, so he is just getting chipped over and over on all his Pokemon. And I don't mind the Rocky Helmet damage, right, because I have the Poison Heal anyway. So again, we are back in this situation. I think I do click the Volt Switch again. Yes, I do. And he shows Citrus Berry, so that's pretty interesting. I like never really run the Citrus Berry, but I could kind of see why people do it. I just throw off Scalds. Will-O-Wisp doesn't really do anything to me. Now I do expect the Pain Split to come in eventually because he is getting pretty chipped, as there it is. So it's just kind of like a stally battle. I do have rest, so it's not the end of the world. I'm not sure if I go for it here. No, I don't go for it yet because I could take one more. As you just make the switch into Zarude now. Now he expects the Gliscor to come in, and here's where the issue lies. I've been going Gliscor every time versus Zarude, so he finally realizes, okay, I gotta like make a double or something. And he does bring in the Noivern, and I don't know he's Specs yet at this point, but he is going to be Specs. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go into Reuniclus first, and he does 65 to me, so this is a problem. If he hits his Hurricanes, I'm gonna be sacking Mons left and right here, right? So first down goes Mr. Migo. I am faster because I know he's Specs with Lopunny. And his Lopunny answer is really chipped, so 2 Ice Punches will take it out. I will take 34% from Helmet twice, but it's fine. The Lopunny answer is down, and this really is the only thing left that can take hits from Lopunny. Swampert is AV, so it's not going to enjoy taking hits. And I just U-turn here, and I figured he's decently low, so he might just go for the Pain Split. So I just go into Suicune, no problem. And then I throw off a Rest or Scald. Rest, because I got to get healthy. So... because I'm not really threatened by anything he goes in here unless it's Noivern, which he does go into Noivern, so it's fine as he catches my Gliscor yet again. So here we are again. Now, I go into Suicune, which Suicune actually takes 2, but I haven't burnt any rest turns yet. And I just was hoping for maybe Roar so he could take another round of Stealth Rocks when he comes in. But I unfortunately hit myself, as he does hit, I think, 5 Hurricanes in a row. So that's a really well-trained Noivern. So after he kills Suicune, I go into Lopunny because, again, it can revenge it. I'm also Scarf Toxtricity, but I don't want to bring that in yet. And I go for the Ice Punch because I want to make sure I connect. Now, luckily, he goes into Zarude, and it barely lives, which is actually going to come into my favor because I'm Power Up Punch. Now, Lopunny's at +1. It outspeeds everything, and like I said before, Swampert was AV, so that's going to actually be the game. It's going to kill everything. It outspeeds everything. I think that's a Mega Diancie. He chooses to stay in regular form, which is the correct play. But it does still drop to Mega Lopunny. So that is going to be the game. Swampert is Spidef. There's no way it lives it. And obviously Noivern drops. So that was a really good game. A really good bring on the Specs Noivern. Because of this game going forward, I do like try, if the opponent has like a hard-hitting flying type, I do kind of prep for it a little bit better. But there's still, just because like I said, my only resists are Toxtricity and Lycanroc, there's still just not like a whole ton I can do. But that was a close game. So even though it was 4-0, like it really came down to the wire. He was getting me a lot with that Noivern. So going to the next game, we have Chris 04. No, I'm sorry. This is not Chris. His name is like This Is God APL or something. I think he actually took over our team, so he's kind of new to this league, so I'm not really sure how he is. But anyways, we have almost max defensive Suicune because he does have a Charizard X. We have Assault Vested, max Spadef, so this is really Spadef for Uniclus. Max Spadef Ferrothorn with the Chople. I believe this is for Keldeo. Again, specs Toxtricity, max defense, Healing Wish, counter Focus Dash. So this was like my failsafe to a Zardex setting up because that mon is just so scary, man. But as long as I keep this intact and he does attack me on the turn I counter, then I'll at least have this Pokemon to take out that one guy. And then I have a Magic Coat Dual Stab U-Turn Lopunny. I'm trying to remember what the Magic Coat was for. I think it was just for Skarm, because I figured that Skarmory would be the Lopunny answer. So if I just attack it, the next turn he'd probably just choose to get up Hazards, and I can Magic Coat to get up the rocks. Because I had only Spikes, I believe. I had Spikes. Oh no, I had both. Okay, I had both. But it was just in case for Skarmory, in case I needed the rocks or something versus Charizard, I could just throw off the Magic Coat. But anyways, let's get in the game. I lead with Suicune, as he does lead with, I actually expected Nidoking to lead, but he leads with Buzzwole, so that's fine by me. I just throw off a Scald right away. I'm just fishing for burns, as he does just Leech Life. And kind of a weird interaction here. He's just going to choose to stay in. Now I'm Rest, so I'm fine with this. I'm actually faster too, and I'm just fishing for burns. I have really no reason to switch here, and he's actually getting pressured down with his Leech Lives too, so... Now, I rest here because even though I didn't die to the next one, I didn't want to get crit and die. And like I said, he's just running out of Leech Lives anyway, so I'm just staying in. He finally does switch as I go for the Rest Talk. And again, I have Scald and Roar, so I show him kind of my whole set. Luckily, I roar him into the Charizard, which is what I want, so I get to burn another rest turn, right? And I get rest. So now I go into my Lele answer, which is my Spadef AV Reuniclus. As he goes for the Energy Ball, and he shows to be Scarfed Damage, but he could be a different item. Now he goes for the Iron Defense on Skarmory, as I have the Thunder. I brought Thunder many times on Reuniclus, and I really didn't like fear anything from a Skarmory. I thought he was just going to click Hazards, to be honest. But he went for Iron Defense immediately, so I'm assuming he had Body Press and like Iron Head for Clefable, but the Iron Defense doesn't really make a whole ton of sense. One, because I've shown Roar on Suicune. Another, because I have a Toxtricity and Iron Defense doesn't really do anything versus it. And then I have this guy, so yeah, I just pretty much get a free kill for nothing. He goes into Suicune, and because of the whole interaction that happened at the beginning, I know that Suicune can handle this thing no problem. He does get a bulk up, but I am waking up this turn. Now, I do actually switch here. Because I am fearing the CC, as it will do a ton of damage. And if I don't burn him, I was faster. And if I didn't burn him, then I would lose a lot. Or if he just Leech Life like he did, then he would get a lot back, and I would actually lose the 1v1, I believe. I could choose to roar, but then I would just be taking free damage. So actually, I go into Toxicity because I was expecting either a CC or a Leech Life. I do take a solid chunk because he's +1 and Toxicity is not very bulky. But because he sacked off the Skarmory, he does not have a normal resist anymore. So I just click Boom Burst and he Keldeo drops because I am Specs. And I knew that I was faster than Buzzwole because Suicune was faster. So I pretty much got a kill. Now he goes into Lele. I already showed him my answer, which was Regenerator, AV, Reuniclus. But it doesn't really matter because you see he goes for Shadow Ball and it only does 26. So, and now that he's going for it over and over, like I said, it was showing Scarf damage. So I figured that's what he was. So I just go into Lopunny, as he does show to be Scarfed. And then I get a free U-turn because I know he's got a switch, right? And then boom, Toxicity just comes right back in. I'm faster, and then he does not have an answer to Specs Boom Burst. So down it goes. Now he goes into Charizard, and Toxicity is slower than the rest of the Pokemon. So I figured I would just not let this thing set up and just stay in and click Boom Burst. And he does indeed go for the DD, but Boom Burst is just going to knock him out. So again, it wasn't really an over prediction. Like I was slower than everything else that was up, so I figured I would just stay in and prevent the setup. Now I do save Toxicity because I have a great answer to this thing in the Reuniclus. And the AV Reuniclus was actually also there for Nidoking because it was a really good switch into if he's a special. I switch out to Lopunny, then I U-turn just to come back because I had the Spadef drop and I didn't want to take a lot of damage. And then I just kill him, and then obviously Lele comes in and I can stay in to see what he locks himself into. I see it's Moonblast, and then Ferrothorn can come in no problem and take the Moonblast and then kill him with either Knockoff or Gyro Ball. I forget what I had. So pretty clean game. Him just throwing away the Skarmory was really solid for me. Again, he replaced the team, so I'm not sure like his experience. I've never seen him before, so maybe he was just newer to the game. But yeah, it was a pretty solid, straightforward win there. Okay, now we have versus Chris. This, I believe, is the last game of the regular season. Yes, this is week 8 of the regular season. So far we lost the one game versus J-Caps that you guys didn't see, and we lost the, well, our team lost the week 1 and then we took over. So we have 2 losses and 5 wins right now. We're 5-2. So we're up against Chris. The team we have is again another Power Punch, but Drain Punch this time. Lopunny, Spadef, Incineroar with Rest Talk. This was my Spectre answer, I believe. Max Fizdef, Clefable. This was for Gallade. Then we have a Max Spadef, another Calm Mind kind of set you saw versus Tyler. Except instead of Thunder, we have Focus Blast. Another Max Defense for Gallade because Gallade is just very scary with Rest Talk Roar. And then Gliscor is defensive as our rocker for the game. And you also just have the Zoom Roll that was for Suicune can help with that as well. So let's go ahead and get to the game. Unfortunately, this game is very haxy, so he's going to lead with Torn, which of course Torn is never a bad lead. As I lead with Gliscor, I have to switch here as he just goes for the taunt because I guess he expected me to click rocks. He goes for the Nasty Plot here as I just go for a Psyshock. I crit and do 86 to him. And looking at my Reuniclus set, I was Life Orb, but I was no investment, so I still would have 2-shot him because a crit did 86, so a regular hit would have did in the 50s, 50s to maybe low 60s. So it wasn't like a big deal, but I think he was just like flustered by that, so he just chose to stay in and pretty much sack it, as he doesn't do too much with the Air Slash at +2 because I am Spadef, even though I am Life Orb. So I get a free Torn, there we go, turn 2, and then I go into the obvious Incineroar. He's sub, so I figured he's like sub Willow, maybe Hex, and then Mudshot actually shows. But it's not a big deal because I'm Max Spadef, Mudshot doesn't do a ton, only does 30, and I'm Rest Talk, so it's no problem. I U-turn out here. I could have just clicked the Dark move, but I just U-turn to get momentum as he goes into Palossand. And I take a little bit more chip, which is actually kind of scary because now I'm at 54% on Incineroar. And you saw that Mudshot did, what, like 30? So if he actually chooses to click it on the switch and then kill me, I lose my Spectre answer. So I go into Gliscor, though, as I get momentum to just to Toxic this thing because this is his Mega Lopunny answer looking at his team. And then I get at my rocks as he does get into Gallade. I go into Suicune because it is max defensive and it is Helmet. I believe Suicune was actually mostly for Gallade, and then Clefable was for Azumarill because it was unaware. That was my plan. He goes for the SD, and I burn him, so he misses on Headbutt, then he gets burned. So he is just not having a good time. As you can see, he's like kind of like laughing, like getting a little tilted here. And then he goes for another SD, but because he's burned, it's still not going to do a ton to Suicune. So I just keep scalding him, and then on the turn he attacks. I go into Clefable because I'm unaware, so burned Gallade is going to do pretty much nothing, as you guys see here, and I just knock him out with Moonblast. So really solid luck by me, I guess you can say. Now he goes into this thing. I don't really understand why I actually stayed in with Clefable here. I clicked knockoff, but like I said before, I kind of needed this thing for like a setup as Azumarill. So I don't agree with what I did with me staying in here, and I'm not really sure what I was thinking. But I just stay and I click knockoff, as he does go for the nasty plot. So I actually stay in again, and I click Thunder Wave, and he just scalds. I am unaware, but if he clicks Sludge Bomb, it would be doing a lot to me. Now I switch as he clicks Sludge Bomb, and my Runic goes down. So that was interesting by me. I come in with Gliscor and I figure Earthquake can knock this out, but he actually lives on 1%. Doesn't get paralyzed, which is nice because that would be a lot of hacks. And he just killed my Gliscor, so I'm like, okay, this is not really good. But he is 1%, so I figured, okay, I do have the power-up punch on Mega Lopunny. I'm either going to kill this thing and get a free +1, or he's going to switch. I go for a Drain Punch now to get health back, because the only thing he could really do to me is Scorching Sands burn me. Luckily, he does not get the burn, and I'm a +1 Lopunny, so I'm fast on everything. And as you guys saw in the game versus Mud, +1 Lopunny is pretty much just going to clean the game. He shows to be, I believe, banded by that Aqua Jet damage. But yeah, as long as I hit my Mega Kick versus the Azumarill, which I did, +1 Lopunny just cleans the game. I know a lot of people don't like Lopunny. I'm not really too sure why, because of its ability. There's not really a Pokemon that resists its dual stab, and it's just so fast. I understand that like it can get chipped very easily by helmet users, and like it doesn't really have great setup like Gallade does. Like it doesn't have Source Dance or anything, or bulk up, but I still think it's a fantastic Pokemon. As you guys see, it just does well in pretty much all the games I'm bringing in. So now we're in the playoffs and we're playing King Swampy. This was again the guy that I played in the regular season that I didn't show, because my sets are very similar to the one I brought in the first game that we played. And the reason I have Encore highlighted is this was the big change I made. I was Scarf in the first game, and I'm Scarf again, but I am Scarf with Encore, which is obviously really weird, because then I'm kind of locking myself into a move because I'm Choice Scarf. But I remember he brought a setup Necrozma, which was very scary for my team to deal with. And in the first game we played, he was Calm Mind with Psyshock instead of Photon Geyser, so my unaware Clefable was able to like mitigate the damage. But if he was Photon Geyser, that ignores unaware, so as Boo said, he would have done a crap ton to Clefable and he probably would have killed it. But I think he was Psyshock because of pressure from Suicune. Photon Geyser only has 8 PP, so really only 4 attacks, and I guess it kind of makes sense. So, but I figured that he would make that change this time if he does bring the same set, and if he does show to be Calm Mind again, I want to try and get Toxtricity into Encore, lock him into that. But all the other sets are really similar, just Spadef, Clef, unaware with lefties, Rockers, Gliscor, Roar, Ice Beam. I also changed Ice Beam. I was either Calm Mind, I was Calm Mind Rest Talk. Now I'm Calm Mind with Ice Beam for just to do more damage to that Mega Garchomp if I needed to. I am the same exact Runic set with just max special attack, 2 attacks toxic. And then I have Ice Punch on Lopunny the first time. I did not again for that Garchomp. So let's go ahead and get into the game. He's going to lead with Infernape, as he did lead that last time, and I led Runic last time, and he was Scarfed last time, I believe. And he just U-turned into that Necrozma and started putting in work right away. So I led with Suicune, figured I'll have a good matchup. As he does just U-turn again, and he goes into Thundy. So I start Calm Minding immediately, and I do have the Ice Beam, so I'm going to stay in one time and get some chip, because even if he just attacked me, Suicune lived, and I do have the rest because I was +1, so it's not a big deal. He goes for the nasty plot though, which is very interesting because last game, again, I had the unaware Clefable, and I figured that there's no reason to take damage on the Suicune if I have an unaware Clefable. Now, I initially make the pivot into Gliscor because I realized like he has to go for an electric move here, right? He can't go for anything else versus the Suicune. So I go into Gliscor first, and then I go into Clefable, my unaware Pokemon, as he just goes for a Dark Pulse. It doesn't really do much to me. So I stay in here. Unfortunately, he crit paralyzes me as I kill him. So that's actually really, really big. Because I need this thing for the Mismagius. Mismagius, I'm max Spadef, or I'm really Spadef, so it can't really do a ton to me, but it does have the ability to set up, and it's faster than everything besides low punny, obviously. So if I would get like fully paralyzed or if I can't heal this thing up, then Mismagius is actually a huge problem for me. Now he goes Crobat. I obviously cannot stay in here. I go into the Gliscor as it just throws off a Brave Bird, and then I believe I have a U-turn on this thing, right? You know, I know I just showed this at. Yeah, I do U-turn, so I do get momentum, and I do bring in Toxicity. So he should know that I'm Story Scarfed. It's the same set as last time, but you can't really do a ton. Again, this comes down to like the Swampert and Go Fagrigus game. Do I click Volt Switch and he goes Garchomp, or do I click Boom Burst and he goes Mismagius? It's just a 50-50 guess what I click here. I throw off the Volt Switch first because it hits what's in front of me, and I figured he could try to go Mismagius, so expecting the Boom Burst. So I just Volt Switch into Low Punny, and then I'm faster and I could just kill him easily with an attack, but I U-turn because I figured he would switch into the Necrozma or the Crobat. But he actually doesn't. He stays in here, so I'm like, okay, shoot. So I U-turn. Luckily, he goes for Toxic that turn, so I get one turn to try and like break through. Actually, two, because he only does 24 and I have leftovers. And luckily, I do break through and get my recovery off. And because I have Heal Bell, if I can break through, and now I do, and I'm just good now, so I can just heal up versus this thing. I'm unaware, it's no problem. He can Toxic me now that I am, Heal Belled up. But I'd rather just get this thing healthy, and I don't really care. Here again, he makes it's really just a wrong play here. He should know that from the crit +2 Thunderous to my Clefable, it only did 60. That I was unaware. So this really doesn't help him at all. He should have either just switched into Crobat or just attacked. So I pretty much get a free turn here because the setup does nothing versus Clef, and this is my answer to this thing. So I had no problem staying in and just killing him. So that was he shouldn't have done that, but I'll take it. He goes Infernape, and I go into Gliscor. As he goes for the Gunk, gets a crit, it's whatever. And then I get my Poison back because I did Heal Bell. And I get my Rock Sub, which is important because if this thing isn't Boots, then I take 25 from this, and then just chip on everything else is nice. He shows that this is his Defoggers. I do again just get momentum, and guess who comes back in? It's not Toxicity, actually, it's Reuniclus. I go into Reuniclus here because I figured if I go Toxicity and I click an electric move and he gets Garchomp in, that's like what I'm trying to prevent here. So I figured Reuniclus is just safer because it can just throw off attacks here. And I feel really safe versus Crobat, so I just actually go for the Raw Shadow Ball expecting the Necrozma. But he stays in here, he roosts. I'm going to keep spamming Shadow Ball because I figured eventually he's going to want to go into Necrozma, right? But he's just adamant on staying and roosting here, so I'm like, okay, I'll just Psyshock then and kill him. And then he brings in Chomp. So I go into Bluey. This was my initial response to it. He does go for the SD, and I do have Ice Beam, so I figured, okay, I can take anything because I'm a max defense Suicune. He does fortunately not crit me as I get 70% off now. You guys are going to see a bunch of bad plays from me here. I'm going to sack off not one but two Pokemon for zero reason. So he's +2. He's faster than everything. I have Unaware Clefable, but I'm Spadef. I wasn't calcing. You guys are going to see this here. And I go and I'm like, okay, even though I'm Spadef, I ignore his attack boost. So I figured, okay, I can take an Earthquake, no problem. Nope, Mega Garchomp is way too strong. Clefable just drops. I say, oh, because I was just not expecting that. Now I go Gliscor because I figured he's gonna have Aqua Tail. He had that in the first game, so I go Gliscor. Then I go into Reuniclus to scout for it just to see, for no reason. There's no reason for me to do this. go into, so I just take 92 on Renaclus for no reason. I go back to Gliscor when he could have Aqua Tailed again and just killed me. But he Earthquakes just to make sure it doesn't miss, I guess. And then I just go back. So the only thing that play got me was a dead Renaclus, a dead Clefable, and I lost like, and I got 12% back on my Gliscor. So it just didn't really make sense. I don't know what I was doing. I forgot that I could have just went into low punny before sacking off everything and just faking out and killing him. So sack Renaclus, sack Clefable, sack Suicune. This is brutal. Well, Suicune I had to sack, but anyways, I U-turn here, and I expect him to be the same exact set as the time he played in the regular season. So I go hard into Toxtricity. I do not expect a Psychic move versus Lopunny. Had he clicked a Psychic move, my Toxtricity would be gone here. But I am just making a hard read here and expecting a setup move or something as he does go for it. And I have the Scarf Encore, so I can Encore him into this, go into Lopunny, U-turn, and keep doing the same thing over and over until he has to switch. So again, here it comes. I think the Encore is going to run out here, so it's a play of, do I just Encore again? Damn right I do, because I got to be very safe. That thing is like +4, so I just Encore. He just switched though, which is the correct play. I go into Gliscor. He does Fire Blast crit me. It doesn't really matter because 2 would kill me anyway, so down it goes. Now again, I'm pretty sure he is Choice Scarfed, but Toxtricity lives a hit regardless. I lived this. And I go for a Volt Switch. Now, that actually could have mattered, though, because you guys are going to see the game is going to be very close. So, if that hit, my Toxtricity would be really low. It would be like at 20 or 30%. And he's locked into Fire Blast. I just go for a U-turn. Again, imagining Toxtricity is at 20 or 30%. I'm still faster. I Boom Burst. But I think he could, at this point, if my Toxtricity was really low, he could go for a Focus Blast. I'm assuming he had Focus Blast as his last move. It would probably kill Toxtricity from this HP, which is what I would be at if he hit the first Fire Blast. And then it would kill Lopunny. My Fake Out would not do 42% to Infernape or whatever he was at. So had he hit the Fire Blast and had, again, I'm assuming he had Focus Blast and he hit both, he probably would have won this game. So a little bit of luck there. It was really close though. I think it wouldn't have came down to that if I didn't have a brain fart and sack off those 2 Pokemon like I did. But luckily we do come out with the win 2-0 in the quarterfinals for playoffs. So we move on to the semifinals. We're taking on Weavy Alley, who is actually the person who this team like forfeited the week 1 against, so I didn't get to play him. So we are bringing a, what are we bringing? A Spadef on, again, Encore on 2 Pokemon again, on another choice Toxtricity have Encore. I think Encore is really, really slept on. I think it's a top 3 move in draft, to be honest. I think most people might not even say like top 5, but I think it's top 3. It's just really, really solid. So we're bringing Spadef. Unaware again with Clef. We have actually Heal Bell on the Lopunny because I just didn't need a 4th move. Specs, Toxtricity, Roost, Toxic, Knock, very annoying. Gliscor, mixed defensive investment. Huckleberry, Ferrothorn is our rocker, and then again just a max defensive Rest Talk, Calm Mind, Suicune. So very very common Suicune set you guys see. So he actually brings out Raichu. I did not expect Raichu. Not really sure what it did. But I mean, I figured it's not the worst because I do have a Spadef Clefable, so even if he's like Nasty Plot, I can handle it pretty well. But Raichu is actually pretty good because it does get Surf, so it can hit the Gliscor, and it does get Focus Blast, so it can hit the Ferrothorn. So it actually is pretty good coverage versus my team, not gonna lie. So let's get into the game. I lead with Pharaoh as he does lead Bro, and I do have the Huckleberry, so I feel safe staying in just to get up a Stealth Rock. And let me pause here real quick. He does say I realize my set has the wrong item, so I figured that he is so I figured that he was supposed to be Specs, and he's a different item. So that's what I think when he says it. So it's unfortunate, but I go into Clefable here as it eats up the the Fire Blast, no problem. I'm SBT. He goes Rotom, as I do get a free knockoff. I actually thought he was going to go into his Mega Aggron, so knockoff would have did like nothing to it, but he actually goes Rotom because I guess that's his Defogger. So I get a free knockoff, and again, I'm unaware, so I stay and I'm SBT. I just get a Moonblast, so I get some chip, as he does show to be the Defogger, which is fine. Now I go Gliscor because I don't expect just a raw water move here, because I wouldn't have done much to Clefable and it would have taken more chip. I expected either a Volt Switch or just a raw switch if he didn't have Volt Switch. It actually shows Thunder Wave, so glad I went into Gliscor. Now I doubled to the Ferrothorn expecting the water move, and then he just Thunder Wave the Ferrothorn, which I mean that's fine. The Ferrothorn is slow as shit anyway, but I do get paralyzed, which sucks. So it actually does show Thunder Wave and Volt Switch, and then he just has Hydro Defog. So it makes a nice switch into the Aggron as I go for the Toxic, and then Potty Press actually just knocks me out. So I lose the first Pokemon of the battle, and I did not get Hazards up, so that kind of sucks. Now, I go into Suicune as I do go for a Calm Mind. Now, depending on what kind of set this is, I actually just, even though I'm Mono Scald and I don't break a substitute here, I'm Rest. I'm Calm Mind Rest, and I'm Pressure. So he's sub-toxic, and I'm assuming 2 attacks, no boosting. And you guys are going to see his Freeze Dry doesn't do anything to me. So I'm actually fine, even though I can't break this up. I probably can now. I'm Pressure, so I'm fine stalling out his Freeze Dries and then just resting up because he cannot 2-hit KO me, or even 3-hit KO me because he's faster. Because I'm already at +3 SBT. Now, if he just crit me, then this is a really big problem. But I'm going to take the chance here, and eventually I feel like he's either going to switch or he's going to run out of Freeze Dries. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have stayed in here because he does get 16 Freeze Dries versus me, and I think a crit is bound to happen one of those times. But I'm like, you know, screw it. I can even get some more boost up as I get some good Sleep Talk rolls. Now, I do pull Scald on the turn he switches, which is pretty big here. And because I'm +3 SBT and he isn't boosted yet, I actually choose to burn another turn of rest here. But now he's boosted, so I just go into the Unaware Demon, which is Clefable. And it doesn't take anything, so now my Suicune is pretty much burned both of its sleep turns, and it's full, so it's really, really solid. I go for a Moonblast here. I should have went for a knockoff, as he does go into this, but that's okay. He goes for a Gunk Shot. Wouldn't have done anything, it misses, and he does show to be the Agua Berry, but that's fine. So my Gliscor doesn't even take half. It takes like half from the Ice Punch, but because of the heal from the poison, then he just can never two-shot me, right? So I figured I'll take this opportunity to get a Toxic on this thing, because even though he can be Scald, I figured that I would still take it. And this is where the wrong item on his end kind of bites him in the ass, because we're going to find out that he's actually Choice Scarfed instead of Choice Specs. He meant to be Specs. If he was Specs, Gliscor would have died. He's actually Scarfed. So it's really, really unlucky on his end. I do think that had he been Specs, this game would have been very, very hard. I'm not saying I would have lost, but would have been a lot closer, I think. So he goes into Kyurem as I do Roost, which is a great play. But because I know he's not a boosting item at all, he's just raw 2 attacks with Subtoxic. My SBT Clefable can take it no problem. And I just go for another Moonblast as he does switch into the Muck, so Muck is getting nicely chipped. Makes a double into Rotom, expecting my Gliscor, which is a very nice play by him. But I just have my SBT Clef, and he already showed me his whole set on Rotom, so Clefable can pretty much easily come in on Kyurem and this thing now. Now I make a hard switch into Toxicity, because again, I expect either a Volt Switch or a Thunder Wave, not a Hydro Pump versus Clefable. I just go for the Thunder Wave, and then he does go for the Hydro Pump, but obviously Toxicity tanks it no problem because he's not boosting, and Boomburst kills him. Now he sends in Muck here, which is kind of interesting. I was Specs Toxicity with Boomburst, and I realized that he was no item, and he was only half, so even if he was max SBT, a Specs Boomburst to a non-resisted Muck, it's going to do over half for sure. So not too sure why he went into the Muck there. He could have went Aggron, it resisted it, or he could have went Kyurem because if his last move was like Earth Power or something, or Draco, it's faster. So he just donates the Muck for no reason, but I'll take it, right? Now he goes into Kyurem, and I have to switch into Clef. Again, Clef can wall this thing no problem, unless it gets frozen. But I don't. So I take this opportunity to roost up, or to softball up here as he goes into the Aggron. Now I do have the Helmet Suicune, I believe I'm Helmet in this game. I just show Curse. But I do win this battle because I'm Helmet, so he's going to chip himself, and I have Rest. And I'm max defense, so even though he's boosting himself, he's not going to be able to do enough to me. And I'm going to actually just start attacking him right away because he's not boosting his SBT. So Scald is going to be doing a solid chunk to him. And like I said, he's going to be taking the helmet damage if he hits me. So, and I could burn him too. So he does not win this 1v1. This was my answer to the Aggron, this helmet Calm Mind Rest Talk set. He does also reveal Rest, but he's not Rest Talk, I don't think. Or he didn't go for it. Is he Rest Talk? No, he's not. So he just has to take 2 Scalds, and then he just chooses to hit me there. He could have rested again, but eventually I would have just got another boost up so I could 2-shot him. Now that Aggron is dead, I figured there's no use for this guy, so I just sack it off as he goes into Raichu. Now I do know there's a chance to get staticked here as I go for a U-turn, but I do have Heal Bell on the Clefable if I'm not mistaken. No, I Heal Bell on Lopunny actually, so I could have Heal Belled versus a Kyurem, because a non-boosted Kyurem does not kill Lopunny from full, there's no way. But I don't get staticked anyway. I bring in Clefable as he goes into Slowbro, and I knock off and I see the Choice Scarf, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is when I was like, okay, so he's supposed to be Choice Specs. So he actually brought a Scarf Slowbro when I had a Lopunny. I really thought he would be defensive Slowbro because it's such an easy switch in, but he was actually Scarfed, and it was supposed to be Specs, and had it had been Specs, it would have been really solid. Now, I don't know why he has Slack Off though, if he was supposed to be Specs here, or he was supposed to change the last move and he did mean to be Scarf. He might have meant to be Trick Scarf. Either Trick Scarf or Choice Specs, but either or, yeah, something was wrong. I'm not sure which one it was actually, but I think he said he was supposed to be Specs after the game. But yeah, I'm not sure why you would have Slack Off then. Maybe I guess in case he got knocked off, I don't know. But Clefable is able just to beat the Slowbro, and it does beat this as well, because we know he's sub-toxic and just 2 attacks, I assume. The only way he can win this is if he does get the freeze. Now, he does get the freeze, but I don't... He does get the freeze, but I thaw right away. Then I Encore him, so he has to just keep attacking me to the point where Lopunny or Toxtricity can kill him. Now, I stayed frozen and he roosted up to full... Oh, I'm assuming his last thing is actually Roost. So maybe he's Mono Freeze Dry. But had he been able to get up to full and kill me as I stayed frozen, he was faster than Toxtricity. I'm not sure if he killed Toxtricity. If he killed Toxtricity from 54, then he might have won this game because he could have got behind a sub as I was frozen, kill Toxtricity, kill Gliscor, and then only Lopunny would be able to break the sub. So had I stayed frozen there for a bunch of turns, he could have got behind a sub, got up to full on Kyurem, and might have won the game. I'm not sure. It depended if Freeze Dry killed the Toxtricity from 54. I'm not actually too sure. But regardless, we do win the game 3-0, and we move on to the finals of the season. So we're actually taking on Mr. Kakurin, as I call him, or Kachisi, as a lot of people call him. He has a really, really crazy team, and a lot of people will say like his team is broken, and it is because someone dropped Dragapult. So he picked it up and got a free Dragapult for pretty much nothing, which brings up bad memories from WPF. So he has the combination of Mega Scizor, Zeraora, and Dragapult, which you should never, ever get those 3 Pokemon together in a draft of 16 coaches. It just doesn't make sense. It's 3 top picks. So very scary team. This game is going to pretty much come down to is if my defense can like outlast his offense. So we have a max defensive SD. I think this is the first SD Gliscor set I brought. SD 2 attacks Roost with Earthquake and Fire Fang. The Fire Fang was mostly for the Scizor. But as you guys saw, I ended up bringing Gourgeist, which I did not prefer Gourgeist at all. I'm not even sure if he actually brought it to any games. But it works out because he has Gourgeist. So this Fire Fang can hit the Gourgeist too. Then we have Spadef Ferrothorn with double hazards, my end Leech Seed, because I didn't prep for the Gourgeist, so I figured this Leech Seed was going to be free versus his team. And this was pretty much a free switch into Toxapex. All the Toxapex would do to me is just knock me off and go for Scald Burn. So I figured every time Toxapex is in, I could bring in Ferrothorn and just get up a hazard, because his only removers were Gligar, which he didn't bring, and the Scizor. So that's another thing with this Gliscor set is this set could always come in versus Toxapex, and I knew Toxapex was coming 1,000,000% because I have the Mega Lopunny. So I wanted to have just really good switch into that thing because I knew Toxapex would be on the field a bunch. Then we have an Adamant Lopunny because the only is because Zero Aura and Dragapult just naturally outsped me, and then the next fastest thing was like really low compared to Lopunny at least, so I figured I'd just run Adamant. Then we have the Unaware, of course, Spadef Clefable. This was my Moltres answer, as well as a special Dragapult answer. But like I said, versus the Noivern, if the if the Moltres was Choice Specs Hurricane, my resist is Toxicity, and yeah, it two-shot everything. So I really had to pray he didn't see that flying weakness and bring a Specs Moltres. If he did, then I would have lost this game, in my opinion, 1,000,000%. Max defensive, Suicune. This was my answer to. It's not really a great answer, but it's my answer to Physical Pull as well as Mienshao, which he actually did not end up bringing with Roar. Again, my plan was to get up a bunch of hazards and then just roar things around. And then the first time I'm actually bringing the Shift Gear Toxicity set. Most of the time I brought Specs or Scarf. One time I brought Sub Lefties, and then this is the first time I'm bringing Throat Spray with the Shift Gear. And the Throat Chop is for the Dragapult. Now, I don't have a Poison move on here. For the Gourgeist, because again I did not expect the Gourgeist, and even though I have Throat Chop, a +1 Throat Chop to Gourgeist, which you brought the super version, it doesn't do anything. It's like 20%, so it's really nothing. It was mainly for the Dragapult. I think the +1 Throat Chop did like 80 to Pult, so if I can get up to 2 hazards, then it would have been in range. But anyways, we're gonna lead with the Ferrothorn, because again I do just want to get up the hazards, as he does lead with his signature Mega Scizor. Now, he could superpower me, he could just U-turn. I am staying in here no problem. His XC goes into Peck, so I'm like, okay, this is actually really solid, because this is the thing that I wanted to get up my hazards up versus anyway. As again, he does have the knockoff and Scald, which is what I expected him to have. Now, I go for a Leechy here because I figured I'd just get recovery back. I do get burned, unfortunately, but that's okay. Because once he does these two moves here, knockoff and Scald, I know he can't really do much else to me. Now, he has double hazards on his side of the field, so I figured, okay, he's got to go into Scizor here if he does have the defog. If he doesn't have the defog, then he's going to be screwed. So I just double Leechy here because, like I said, he can't really do much to me besides scalding and knocking off. It's really not going to get him much. So he does take the 2 rounds of hazards, and I do get a Leechy off on the swaps, so Scizor is really, really chipped. Now, I expect either a Roost or a defog. So I figured, okay, I'm just going to throw up another Spike as he defogs, so at least I have 1 hazard up. And then he does Roost as I go Gliscor. So, and he's leech seeded. So he's still chipped. I do have 1 hazard up, and I have my Gliscor. I do get the Tox Score buff, which is really solid. I was really worried about switching into Zero Aura and him just getting knocked off. So I really wanted to get the Toxic Orb off before getting knocked off. And I think the music actually ended. That's awkward. I guess I'll just replay it. Yeah. Woo. Okay. Yeah, so I make the read into Gliscor as he does go for the Roost. And again, I'm Fire Fang SD Earthquake, so I just throw off a Fire Fang because I can burn, I can flinch, or I could just I could chunk him. And I can see if I'm faster, even though I'm like no speed. He does defog to get off the hazard as I do hit him, but now he's really, really low. So that's really, really solid for me. He goes into Toxapex, but this is my switch into Toxapex, especially once Ferrothorn goes down. He can't do anything to me. He can knock me off, sure, and he gets Scald. Scald only does, okay, well, it's a 60 with a crit, but it only normally does, like, I think 30, 35 or something. I think we'll see here. No, he hazes. Okay. But, again, knockoff Scald Haze, I'm assuming the last move is Recover. That does not do anything to SD Earthquake Fire Fang set. So, I'm safe here just to throw off attacks or SD whatever I want to do. I crit him back because I only do 57, and you guys are going to see a normal Scald does 38. Okay. But with my 12% back every turn, it only does 26. So it's not a ton. He makes a double into Gourgeist as I go into Ferrothorn. Now, I make a really weird play here. I get up the rocks as I see him literally, he just hit me in the face with a Fire Blast. And it did 43. So I'm in range of the next one. I saw him go first. I get on my rocks, and I'm like, okay, he's not going to click it again. But, like, why wouldn't he, right? And I just throw away Ferrothorn. So that was a really silly play by me. Now, I got up to hazards. But again, he has the defogger. So I go into Gliscor and I SD up here. Now this thing could be foul play. which would be kind of scary, but I have to go into this. This is like my only really answer to the Gourgeist, as he actually just Sleet Seed, and I get a Fire Fang as he does go into the Moltres, and here's where I have to hope that he is not Choice Specs. He did take rocks damage, so he's not heavy duty boots, which most of them are. So I'm really nervous here. If he throws off a Hurricane, something is gonna die pretty much. But I do go into the Unaware Clefable because it is SBT and it is unaware, right? And he is +1. So I see him go for the Hurricane, and he does 28. So that is a huge sigh of relief. I now know that this Clefable can check this Moltres every time, no matter what, as long as I'm like above 60%, so I don't get 2-shot. He just confused me, which is fine. And he does make the safe play into Gliscor. I'm sorry, into Toxapex, but I call that and I double into Gliscor because I do not think he just throws away Moltres that early to Clefable. So I make a nice double. He goes into Gourgeist as I believe I throw off an SD. I do throw up an SD, and I'm going to see how much a +2 Fire Fang does to this guy. And you're going to see it does like 40. So I'm pretty sure he's like max defensive Gourgeist super, which is very tanky. I do get the burn, which is very lucky. Luckily, he doesn't get like Finch 2 or anything, and he does get the Leaf Seed off. Now I throw off another Fire Fang as he does show Synthesis. So eventually I can just SD up again to start doing more to him, but he's got a switch. So I'm going to just keep firing here because I do expect a switch into the Moltres, which he does go into. Now he's really low. I am naturally faster than Moltres, but I have no speed. And I don't think it's worth taking a Hurricane and potentially taking like half or something on this guy, because the score is really good as it comes in versus Zeraora, Toxapex, and Gourgeist pretty much with no problem. So I cannot risk damage on this guy. As I do go back into the Fable, and we see the item, it's going to be Chesto Berry, as he's Resto Chesto. So we know that he's going to be dual stab rest and then either Nasty Plot, U-turn, or something else. Now, Hazards are still up, and he brings in the Scizor. And I figured, okay, he's either going to Roost or Defog. There's no way he's just going to Bullet Punch, and even if he does Bullet Punch, he does not kill me. So I'm like, okay, I will just take my kill here and see what he wants to do. Hopefully he goes for Roost. Unfortunately, he goes for Defog, so there's going to be no more hazards for the rest of the game, which is fine. But again, if you Bullet Punch me, I still lived it, and I could Roost up on the Gourgeist or the Toxapex. So I was fine taking damage there if he just choose to Bullet Punch. He goes into Pex here, and again, wow, what's going to come in? Gliscor. Gliscor does not care about the Toxapex. I would only care about, even if he crits me, crit only does 59. So after a crit, I could just Roost up, and I'll be fine. So finally, he gets in Mr. Pole, and this is going to be the scariest turn probably of the game because I have no idea what this Pult is. Specs, Banded, Setup, Life Orb mixed, like what is he? So I figured I will make the initial switch into my physically defensive Suicune because even if he is special, he can still take any one hit, and I am rest, so I can rest on Pex or Gourgeist, or even Moltres to an extent, if he's not like crazy. If I'm not like crazy low. So I do make the switch into Suicune, and he goes for Hex. He is Choice Specs Pult. And Hex would have just KO'd me because obviously of the Toxic, Hex is doubled. And yeah, that would have been scary. So, but I'm physically defensive, and the Specs Hex only did 29. And because my Clefable is SBT and it's unaware, I know that Clefable is now the answer to Dragapult all the time, no problem. I figured he's got to switch though because he only did 29 to me. And I'm just going to stay in here as we're just going to exchange Scalds until we burn each other pretty much. But I know he has no way of getting rid of his burn if I burn it. And I have Rest, so I'm fine. He does actually burn me on the turn that I burn him. So it's not a big deal. I show up the rest here just to get healthy. And then he recovers to get healthy. And it's going to be very stally. I just rest talk here twice. I realize he's going to knock me off. It's fine. I don't really need the helmet anymore. And I just want to get my 2 turns of sleep burnt before I switch out. As I do get a solid Scald off. And he just double knocks off. And now I'm going to switch into Toxtricity, actually expecting a recover because he is half health. Now I have big Toxtricity, and reminder, I don't have Sludge Wave for Gourgeist. I only have double Electric and Boom Burst. No, I only have 1 Electric, 1 Boom Burst, Shift Gear, and Throat Chop. He sees my Throat Spray with the Frisk as I go for Boom Burst. Luckily, because he's immune, my throat spray actually doesn't pop. So now he goes Gourgeist, and like I said, Gliscor is an infinite switch into 3 of his Pokemon. Gourgeist, Pex, Zeraora. Gliscor comes in no problem with this set, the SD, Fire Fang, EQ, and it can tank them. And then the other 2 Pokemon, Dragapult and Moltres, Clefable tanks him because it's max Def, it's unaware, and even though Pult is Specs, Shadow Ball doesn't do over half. And like I said, I can just keep, I can keep soft boiling up versus Moltres. The only thing that would go wrong is if he would either crit me or confuse me and I hit myself. So now his Moltres is at half, my Clefable is back at full, and we're going to go right back into Gliscor, and this game is going to get very stally, but eventually, I don't know if you guys can tell yet, that I'm eventually winning the battle here because, like I said, the 2 Pokemon of Gliscor versus Clefable check all 5 of his Pokemon. And eventually I'm going to get hits off like that from Gliscor where he just like switches into something from Pex because he can't beat the Gliscor with Pex. So he's got to switch. And eventually I'll just get chip off with Gliscor or Clefable. And I'm really going to only use those 2 Pokemon for the rest of the battle pretty much. As you guys do see a Scald crit there, but again, it only does 60, so I can just keep roosting until he stops critting me. He does get 2 in a row there, but again, it's not gonna hold up here. So eventually Gliscor will be able to just get to full. And when I'm at a comfortable enough HP like this, where a crit won't kill me, I can throw off either an attack or a Swords Dance, or I can roost again just to be safe. I do throw off an attack though, as he goes into Gourgeist. But again, he hasn't shown his last move here, and I'm really curious on what it is. I don't think he ever reveals it. I'm imagining it's like it's got to be a ghost or a grass move, I would think, but I don't think it is because he never uses it. I'm not sure. I kind of want to ask him honestly after this. It's been a while since we played. This was on the 7th. It's the 13th now, so it's been just about a week. But like I said before, I'm getting damage off on Pokemon from Gliscor because he's got a switch versus it. Now, here is really, really scary. He crits me and he confuses me, so this is WinCon spotted, you know. This was my switch, and normally it would only take 28, and I'll be fine. But he crit and confuses me, so if I hit myself, this is going to be very, very scary. I soft-boiled up first instead of just taking my KO, because again, I do still need this for Dragapult. Luckily, I break through twice, and Moltres is down, so now all I need Clefable for is Pult, and then Gliscor can handle the other 3 pretty much no problem. Don't mind the chat here. We're just, we're just chilling. He Plasma Fest as I go hard into Gliscor, and I SD because Zeraora cannot do a thing to Gliscor. I get off an easy Earthquake as he just Scalds, and again doesn't do much. And now Earthquake is pretty much free because I believe Earthquake into Fire Fang does kill Gourgeist, or Earthquake would kill any of the other 3 Pokemon. So I'm at +2. I am full because of the Poison Heal, and I'm killing Gourgeist. So now he goes into Pult, and he has to make like so many reads in a row just to even have a chance here. Because now that I know that he's locked in, I rest up again here because I just need to keep as many things healthy just to come in on Pult, just as soon as he locks himself into. He makes a really good read into the Pult double as I go into Gliscor because I have to go into Gliscor versus Zeraora. Now I go Lopunny expecting a Shadow Ball, and he does go for that. Now the reason why I did that was because if he went for a Draco Meteor and killed me, he would be at -2, and Gliscor would come in and get damage off an Earthquake on something. Either kill something that comes in, or it would do another 40 something to Pult, and his -2 thing would only do about half. Then he would take another drop, and I would be able to stay in and roost up and then pretty much kill something. So I figured Lopunny was free. If he went for Shadow Ball, then I get a free switch in, and then I get free U-turn with Momentum, which is exactly what happens. In comes Gliscor, and he only has one more switch into Earthquake, which is the 50%, 59% Dragon Ball, which is here it is. Bang. 13%. Now Earthquake literally kills everything. So if I get a free Earthquake off, I get a kill, essentially. I go into Suicune as a sack just to see what he goes into, as he does actually go for Hex. So he does 67, and then I know he's locked in, so I go into Lopunny as he does double into Zeraora, which is a really good play because he's faster. I die to CC, right? Zero Aura is in, of course, I go into the easy switch in, which is Gliscor, as he makes another double and gets Pulton versus Gliscor, which is what he wants. But again, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to sack the Gliscor here. I'm going to sack the Suicune, just to see what he locks himself into. So he makes another double into Zero Aura, expecting Suicune, which is fine, because once Zero Aura is in, I just go Gliscor. And eventually he's going to have to do something other than doubling around, right? He goes for Bulk Up. This was his best way to beat the Gliscor, but you guys are going to see even a +2 knockoff, which is his hardest thing to hit me with, is going to do 34. I'm max defense Gliscor. My Earthquake did 41 to +2, and then I crit him on the next turn. It didn't really matter. He was not doing any damage to me. Again, Pult is in. I just go into the Suicune as a sack. Hex is in. Now I go into Toxicity because I realize, okay, Hex doesn't kill me. Shift Gear up, and then I'll win the game with Toxicity, and we do take the chip. So the way SBT works is, like I said, I was in the 4th highest division out of 5. I was asked to be in the top division, but I took over this team in the 4th division. So I think I'm just going to stay how it was, where whoever wins this division actually skips the 3rd division and goes straight to the 2nd division, the 2nd highest, which is Victor's. So I believe that's where I'm going to be placed in. I don't think they'll put me in the top division. They could. I'm not really too sure. I guess it just depends on the players. That's how their promo goes. And I will play next season because I typically don't play in the same league 2 seasons in a row. But I've never played in SBT before, and it's been around pretty much like WPF. It's been around for a while. Like I said, this is season 9, so we're going to go into season 10. And I think most people would agree that I should not have been played in this division. So I'd rather just play next season and play against people more towards my level. And see where that goes. I'm not sure if I'll upload it, if I'll do a long video like this towards the end. I've never done a type of video like this because I don't really like doing post commentaries. It's kind of just like saying what's happening like during the battle, but you can literally just see for yourself during the replay like what's happening. So I think it's kind of silly, but I might do that. I don't know. I might do the battles live. I am playing in WPF and I am playing in Trick House. Trick House is actually another division that I was asked to play in. I wasn't going to play in it, but that's fine. I haven't played in Trick House in a while, since season 1, and I was kind of losing interest in Pokemon at that time, which sucks. So I wanted to play with my, with my interest high. Unfortunately, my Trick House team is terrible. I'm not even gonna lie; it's one of the worst. I think it is honestly the worst draft I've ever had. So I don't think I'm gonna be uploading that. And I have played week 1 in WPF already, so if I do upload that, it's going to be a little bit late, which sucks, and it wouldn't be a live commentary for the first battle at least. So I don't know, I might just wait and I could do a similar video like this at the end of the season. I'm not too sure yet, or I might just not upload it in general. So, but anyways, thank you guys for sticking through this long video. I'm not really too sure how long this went, but yeah, it was really long. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.